Howdy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Temple. Mr. Buttinger?
I don't think I know you.
I reckon not. I just got into town.
Whoa. How come you know us?
Heard of you two all the way into Kansas.
You have? What'd you hear?
Nothing but the best.
You know about us. What about you?
Me? I'm just a cowhand. Found out about the cattle drive into Mexico and I want work.
Cattle drive?
Oh, that must have something to do with that telegram Martin Kingsley got a couple of weeks ago. Some Mexicans coming into town and buy 5,000 head. You're, ex-cavalry, aren't you?
Yes, sir. 21st Kansas Battalion. But I hung up my sword a couple of years ago. Now I'm just looking for work.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Tiny?
Looks like we just got all excited about nothing, Mr. Temple. That's what all these strangers doing in down here to work that cattle drive.
I don't know.
What do you mean?
Said he was with the 21st Kansas Battalion.
Yeah?
Well, that was the outfit commanded by General Josh Matthews.
Josh Matthews. Hey, you got the fellow they court-martialed and then he turned renegade?
The worst kind of renegade. He's got hundreds of followers, men who think he was unjustly accused. He wanted in every state in the Union.
You reckon that fellow we just got through talking to is still a friend of his?
That's another good question, Tiny.
Compose yourself, Tia. You're in Cimarron City.
I wonder if the men in Cimarron City are as handsome as the men in Mexico.
Elena, remember, you're betrothed to me.
How can I forget it? You have reminded me exactly 29 times since we left.
Howdy. You must be the folks coming here to buy cattle from Martin Kingsley. I'm Lane Temple, sheriff.
Luis Gutierrez, at your service.
How do you do, sir?
And this is my fiancée, Señorita Elena Maria Obregón y Vega.
How do you do, Mr. Temple?
Howdy, ma'am. This is Tiny Buttinger.
Howdy, ma'am. And you too, sir.
You must show me your town, Senor Temple. I think it is quite pretty.
I'll be glad to.
You must excuse us, senor, but there is a long trip to your town, and Señorita Obregón is a little tired.
And if you want to, you can leave your carriage down at the livery stable.
Oh, no, never mind. My men will take care of that. Carlos!
Si, patron.
Take the men and make camp at the outskirts of town, and Carlos, double guard on the carriage.
Si, patron.
Will you excuse us?
Certainly.
Oh, that sure is a powerful built little filly that Gutierrez feller's got a hold of there. I bet you she's about all he can handle.
Say, Tiny, you notice how low to the ground that carriage is?
Can't rightly say that I did, Mr. Temple, no.
Well, either those springs are no good or there's something mighty heavy in there. Those vaqueros, you see how they ride?
I sure did. Right smart for such scrawny little fellers.
They're trained horsemen. And the lances they're toting. Well, what has all of this got to do with buying cattle? Tiny, in the last few minutes, so many questions are crowding my mind, I don't know where to start.
Told you I smelled some funny business when I seen them other little fellers ride into town. What do you reckon we ought to do, Mr. Temple?
No, we'll play it safe. I went over to the Cattlemen's Association, tell them to hide their money. I want you to get somebody to ride out to Kingsley. Tell him he's got company.
Yes, sir.
How have you got your men placed?
2 men to a street walking picket. 4 at each arm, 3 in a saloon. What about the telegraph station at the depot?
Don't worry about it. I better tell the old man our allies arrived on schedule. And one more thing. If the sheriff starts asking questions, be polite. No backtalk.
Yes, sir.
Ruiz, how long have you been here?
Just a few moments.
Well, where is Thea?
She wasn't feeling well, so I told her to go and lie down in my room.
Oh.
I wanted to talk to you.
Oh? What about?
Tell you how much I love you. And then that I've just had the most wonderful thought.
Oh? What?
Why don't we get married right away? And this trip could be our honeymoon. I'm sure we can find a priest someplace in this town.
Oh.
What do you think?
I think you're a very clever man, Ruiz. But what about the general?
Oh, we can have a formal wedding for your father's sake when we return. He doesn't have to know.
Oh, yes, you're a very clever man, Ruiz. Arranging with my father to have me come here with you to make it look less suspicious. And you were so considerate. You even provided a dueña who cannot see her nose unless there is a glass under it. Did you think I would change my mind? Decide not to marry you? And after you went to all the trouble of having that arranged with my father, too? Ah, you are worried. You're worried because perhaps he won't make you general, huh? Well, you needn't worry. He might make you Viceroy of Texas, if your plan is a success. I will marry you, Ruiz, because it is my father's wish. But when we get back to Mexico and not before. That is, if you still want to marry me.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you are also a very proper man. And like most proper men, you have a gigantic conception of yourself. A conception that you cannot possibly share with someone else.
Don't think I haven't noticed. In every town we stopped. And now here with the sheriff.
You do understand, don't you?
If you disgrace me in any way...
Ruiz, would you kill General Obregon's daughter?
I'll kill someone.
Well, what about it?
Right on schedule, sir. 3 o'clock this afternoon.
How many men?
10 and 2 coachmen. Oh, and he's traveling with a young lady, too. Mighty pretty, I'd say.
No. Tell me, what does this Mexican look like, this Ruiz Gutierrez?
Well, about 40. Early 40s, maybe. Dresses well. Might be considered handsome by the ladies.
Ugly men make better soldiers. Not always a lot of things to take their minds off their duty. And not so concerned with appearances.
Well, he's a full colonel in the Mexican army. He must be pretty good to get that far.
Now, we don't really know that, do we?
No, sir.
Anything unusual to report?
No, except the sheriff was mighty curious about all the strangers in town.
That's to be expected. See any soldiers around?
No. You still don't think this may be a trap?
Well, you remember how they hung on our tails over there in Kansas. You don't expect the United States Army's going to give up, do you?
No, but it Seems to be a pretty hard way to try it.
As long as there's a price on our heads, every man is suspect. Tom, I want this thing to be on the level. It appeals to me. It's just the right thing to pay back the government for that mockery of justice they call a court-martial. And if it is on the level, I'm just the man to do it. Me and the 500 men we've got scattered between here and Kansas. But we've got to be careful.
I understand, sir.
There are two things that'll convince me this offer is legitimate. One, Gutierrez has the gold. Two, he'll take orders from me. You can't have two generals in this deal.
What is that? Nothing, sir. Just the station master in Cimarron City requesting departure time with the train from St. Louis. I'll go ahead and relay it on through.
I often wonder what the Department of Army would say if they knew that's the way we escaped them each time in Kansas. And there's a good rule for you, Tom. Control the communications of a town or an army, and you've got them beaten without a shot. You tell them what you want them to know, and you keep others from giving them the information they need. A little trick like that is worth a battalion of soldiers at the right minute.
I'll remember that. So what's our next move?
I want you to meet with Gutierrez.
He won't like dealing with a mere lieutenant.
That's exactly what I want to find out. And if he won't respect your authority, I want no part of him. This is a war we're planning, and I'll be hanged if I let personalities enter into it. Now, it'll take about a week to do the initial planning. When that's over, I'll meet with Mr. Gutierrez. By that time, we'll know whether or not this is on the level. But if it is a trap, the town of Cimarron City is going to pay for it in blood.
Well, Tiny, they all have the same story. They're up here for that cattle drive.
Yep, and they all look as polite as young'uns at a church meeting.
I don't know any more now than when we started.
Maybe what Mr. Kingsley had to say might mean something.
Oh, did you see him?
Just after he met with that Gutierrez feller. He sure was grumbling, too.
Oh, about what?
Well, he said they had already agreed on the price of them cattle when they was writing letters to each other. But that Gutierrez feller just now told him that he wanted too much for them. He wasn't nice about it, neither. He said they couldn't do no business till the price was lowered. Now, don't it seem to you like them little Mexican fellers took a terrible long ride for nothing?
Maybe that's not why he's here at all.
Sure don't make sense. By the way, where'd they hide the money from the Cattlemen's Association?
If you don't know, you can't tell.
You got a point there, Mr. Temple.
Tiny, why don't you and me be sociable over a glass of beer?
Well, if you don't mind, Mr. Temple, I'll just stick to whiskey. The foam on old Frank's beer sort of gets in my mustache, makes it sticky.
Se puso triste, empezó a tragar y a posar hasta la camisa. Salió de ahí cayendo. Yankee whiskey. It tastes like good butter.
Yeah, it sure does.
We will have many muchachos. Big, strong boys that will look like their handsome papa, eh?
Yeah, all boys, honey.
But you're too skinny. We will fatten you up. Frijoles will fix that.
Well, all those kids, Pedro.
I will be a rich patron. You will be the mamacita de Hacienda, eh?
Just how you gonna get rich, dearie?
That's a secret. I'll tell you later.
Tell me now. I don't think I can wait till later.
But it's a secret. You will soon know. The whole world will know.
Carlos,
Si, señorita?
why don't you go play that thing for somebody else, huh?
You do not like my playing?
I do not feel like being serenaded. Why don't you go for a walk or something?
I'm sorry, señorita. Coronel Gutierrez, he said it is not safe for you to be alone. I should be with you at all times. I must protect you.
Protect me from what?
He did not say, señorita.
There's that little mare, Mr. Temple.
So I see. Let's go over there and find out if she still wants to see Cimarron City.
Now, Mr. Temple, I can understand how a woman like that might get under a feller's hide, but right now, ain't we got more pressing problems than her?
Now, Tiny, what better way to get information than from a pretty girl on a moonlight walk?
Well, Well, I can't rightly say I ever done much talking at a time like that, Mr. Temple. My old tongue always got so that blame twisted up, I felt like I had a boot in my mouth.
Good evening, Miss Overground.
Ah, the handsome young sheriff. Sit down.
Thank you. I was wondering when you'd like to take that grand tour of Cimarron City. There's a mighty pretty moon out tonight.
Mr. Temple, I am a betrothed woman.
Oh, well, I thought...
Yes, that was very obvious. Carlos, please go to my room and get my shawl.
Si, señorita.
I feel a chill. Mr. Temple, I am ready for the grand tour.
That was pretty sneaky. But I thought...
I know what you thought.
What about her?
Dear? She will not miss me. She's too full of wine. Shall we go?
All right. Don't you care if the others see us leave together?
I want them to.
Otherwise you run Carlos off.
Because I don't like guitar players.
Oh.
Want me to go along, Mr. Temple?
Well, sure, Tiny. Why not?
I would like to see Senor Gutierrez.
He's in the back, number 3 on the left.
Thank you.
Shall we? I just remembered. I've got something I have to do. Say, Tiny, I want you to show Elena Cimarron City, just the way I would.
Mr. Temple.
Now, don't be bashful. You can take her down by the river. It's mighty pretty this time of year.
I don't understand.
I've got to do something, Elena. Why don't you go along with Tiny, and I'll meet you in half an hour. Down by the river.
Well?
Mighty pretty night, ain't it?
Colonel, I can appreciate your feelings, but you will have to deal with me or not at all. Those are the orders of General Matthews.
All right. Since you're authorized to represent him, I agree to discuss terms with you. With one exception.
What is that?
I have 500,000 American dollars worth of gold in my carriage, and I will give it to no man but General Matthews.
Of course, sir. And the General won't want it until we're 100% agreed as to how the attack of Texas will be launched, the division of command, and how many men you agree to supply from Mexico. Also, we will have to discuss rewards, land grants, titles, division of booty.
I take it the General has already made up his mind about most of the things that you have just mentioned.
He has some definite ideas.
Well, I can see we can't accomplish much this evening.
The General figures it'll take about a week to complete the preliminary planning. Then you and he will sit down and get to the real issues.
The General doesn't leave much to chance, huh?
No. Putting Texas back under the Mexican flag is not like raiding across the border. One mistaken will be the firing squad for all of us.
But my friend, if we succeed, our names will go down in every history book of the world. Ruiz Gutierrez and Joshua Matthews, the 2 men who defeated the United States.
In that order?
What?
No, nothing, sir. And by the way, you're to put all the men under one command while we're in Cimarron City. Mine.
Now, just a minute. I am a colonel. You're only a...
Representing General Matthews.
All right, I agree. But only because your men know the Americans better.
What was your fiancée doing with the sheriff?
What do you mean?
They were leaving together just as I came in.
What? Oh, the sheriff offered to show her around town. She's very interested in new places.
I see. And you're not having any trouble?
Well, of course not.
Good. Because from now on, we'll be fighting together. We'll meet tomorrow. Good night.
2:30 Wednesday on time.
Hey, Bert, wake up.
Oh, what? Oh, hello, Wayne. Gee, I guess I must have dozed off.
Yeah. I got a message to send.
Yeah? Where to, Lane?
Fort Smith. Request immediate military assistance. Have proof. Josh Matthews in the area of Cimarron City.
Say, isn't he the renegade general who's been giving him so much trouble up in Kansas?
Don't ask questions. Just send the message. Well?
Well, got to wait for acknowledgement. No point in sending if there ain't nobody on the other end. That's something I've been noticing lately. Takes a long time to get an acknowledgement. Never used to be that way. Answer'd come back almost before I'd get finished calling.
What's that?
There we are.
What are they saying?
Message received. You know, that's another funny thing. When you've been on the key as long as I have, you begin to recognize style pretty easy. Like telling handwriting. For the last couple of days, the code coming in on that sounder sounds like it's been sent by the same hand. Oh, it ain't likely, I know, but sure sounds like it, though.
Oh? You mean like the same person sending all the time?
Yeah. Lane, Temple, Sheriff. No troops available for 2 weeks. Do not try to take Matthews. If he thinks you are after him, you may place your town in great jeopardy. Cooperate with him if you must, but protect your town at all costs. Stop. Troops will come as soon as possible. End. Say, he sounds like a mean one. Imagine General Josh Matthews being here.
Yeah, I think we just got a personal message from him. We weren't talking to the fort at all. That answer came back so fast, the commanding officer at Fort Smith would have had to been on that telegraph key himself.
You mean somebody's hooked up to the wire?
I'm sure of it, Bert. Don't say a word of this to anybody. You open your mouth, a lot of people might get killed.
You mean he's already in Cimarron City?
His men are. Now keep this to yourself.
I know how to do that real good.
Keep on sending your regular messages, and don't act like there's anything wrong. Remember, you're not alone on that line.
Yes, sir.
Evening, Sheriff.
Howdy, boys. How's it going?
Just fine, Sheriff. Just fine.
Boy, Mr. Temple, when you didn't show up down at that river bottom, that woman was mad enough to tear the tail feathers out of a turkey. I didn't know what to say to her. And on top of that, when we got back up to the saloon, that Gutierrez feller was waiting there for us. He lit into her, and she lit right back. I didn't stick around to hear much of it, but she sure didn't take none of his sass. No, sir. She told him what side of the pot the handle was on.
Tiny, we've got trouble. Big trouble.
How's that, Mr. Temple?
Those strange men in town. They're all renegades of Josh Matthews. They're making a deal with Gutierrez and the Mexican government to join forces and attack Texas.
Texas? But that's declaring war against the United States. They can't do that, Mr. Temple.
There's a good chance they will. Texas is bankrupt, has been for years. They can't defend themselves. And with Matthews attacking from the north, likely as not, Texas will be part of Mexico before the United States can get organized.
Well, we just have to go down there and take it back again.
Think of all the families that would be killed. No, Tiny, it wouldn't be easy to take back either. There's a lot of people in Texas that would just as soon be under Mexican rule.
Maybe we ought to tell the army, Mr. Temple.
I tried that. Matthews is hooked up to a pole someplace down the line. So I was talking directly to General Josh. He advised that we cooperate or place Cimarron City in grave danger.
I reckon I know what that means. Well, what are we going to do, Mr. Temple?
I don't know.
We could form a posse and go out and round all them fellers up and throw them in jail.
Are you kidding?
Well, I didn't think I was.
How many men do you think we could get? 10, maybe 15 that know how to handle a gun? Against 30 or more trained, well-armed men? I'd be slaughtered, Tiny.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at it like that, I reckon.
And not only that. If we tried and failed, Matthews would hang every man by his own gun belt. Now we can't risk it.
Well, he's liable to do that anyhow, ain't he? Seeing as how we know he's here.
But he doesn't know that we're aware of why he's here, Tiny. Maybe he just figures to go his own way after his meeting with Gutierrez. Harry, what in blazes happened to you?
Looks like he got hit, Mr. Temple.
That's right, Temple. Somebody hit me, and I want to know what's going on.
What do you mean?
I was riding out to Elk River this evening when two fellas stopped me at the edge of town and told me to go back. When I started to argue with them, one of them hit me with his fist. Broke a tooth. Right here.
I'm sorry, Harry.
Sorry? They said they were acting on your orders. That you ordered everybody to stay in town.
Now, you just hold on there a minute, Harry.
Just a minute, Tiny, just a minute. Now, Harry's right. Those men were acting on my orders. For reasons I can't tell you right now, I'm asking everyone to stay in town for the time being. I'm sorry you got hit, Harry, but you should have listened to him.
I'll have your job for this, Temple.
I wish I could give it to you.
How come you take the blame for a thing like that?
To keep him and other people in town from being hurt more than necessary, Tiny. If they think I'm responsible, they'll come yelling to me instead of trying to take on those renegades.
They act like they own the whole town.
Right now they do, don't they?
I believe that the whole line of approach of General Matthews is something very, very...
Tom and Gutierrez didn't bother to keep their meetings a secret anymore. They met in the Oklahoma saloon day or night. Usually Elena was with them. Probably because Gutierrez wasn't going to let her out of his sight. The renegades and the Mexicans had actually captured Cimarron City without firing a shot. And stranger than that, the townspeople didn't even know it. And I couldn't tell them. I prayed nothing would happen, because if it did, there wasn't much I could do about it. Death was standing on every street corner and at all the roads leading out of town. And more of Matthews' men were drifting into town all the time. Josh Matthews had me over the barrel, too. He knew I had to keep the peace and quiet to save the town. But I was getting a lot of questions I didn't have answers for. So I made some up.
Yes, now listen. Now wait, all of you listen to me.
I know you all want to know what's going on. What these men are doing on our streets and why we can't leave town. Well, I'll tell you. But it can't go any farther than this room. Don't breathe a word of this around town or we're all in trouble. Well, that Mexican fella staying at the Oklahoma saloon. He's a very important official of his government. And he's in Cimarron City to make a treaty with our government and his. Now, those other men, they're secret agents for our government. That's why they've closed this town. They can't risk letting anything happen to that Mexican. Now, why don't you all go home and quit worrying? But remember what I said. Don't tell a soul.
Okay,
go ahead.
Okay, we'll go along with you. See what happens.
It sure was a whopper, Mr. Temple. But how come you to tell him to keep that lie a secret?
Because everybody believes you when you tell them it's a secret. And besides, that was the fastest way I could think of getting this little story all over town.
How much longer you figure them to hold us here in town, Mr. Temple?
Until they make their deal. As far as I know, Josh Matthews hasn't put in an appearance yet, so that means they're still haggling. Oh, Tiny. I gotta do something about this. The days are going by and all I do is sit. There's gotta be a way to break this up. Once they go on the march, there won't be time for the government troops to stop them.
Hey, how come I don't sneak out of here horseback and ride for the fort?
I've thought about that, Tiny. But it'd take you a week to get there and back. Even if you could bring the troops. Matthews still has the town to hold as hostage in case anyone tries to take him. Wait a minute.
You think of something, Mr. Temple?
I sure did. I'm wondering why I didn't think of it before. Look, I overheard Gutierrez say he had over $500,000 in gold in his carriage to pay Josh Matthews and his men to join up with the Mexicans.
You thinking of stealing that gold so they can't make a deal, Mr. Temple?
Yeah, but not so they think we did it.
Now, wait a minute. You lost me around that last
Well,
collar.
look, we'll steal the gold, but make Gutierrez think that the renegades did it.
Yeah, but the renegades will know they didn't take it.
Well, yeah, but how are they going to be sure that Gutierrez isn't trying to pull a fast one?
Oh, yeah.
Divide and conquer, Tiny. Turn one side against the other. That's the only thing we can do. Turn one side against the other.
Yeah, I'll try anything once.
Even that may not be enough. Matthews is a pretty sly old boy. He's liable to smell a rat. But if we can raise enough stink, fast enough, he won't know which rat to smell first.
You heard?
See, it is a girl.
Maybe it is a horse caught in the bush.
Ah, stupido. Don't you know a girl when you hear one?
Do it again.
See, I told you. It is a girl. A pretty girl.
How you know?
Ah, I know. In here.
Do it again.
I think I better go and investigate, huh?
Maybe she's not giggling for you.
She is. I know. In here.
Find the gold yet?
Well, not yet. Here it is.
Half of that'd cure all that ails me.
Come on, Tiny. We got a lot of work to do.
You finally got here. I'm starving.
Wouldn't want that to happen, dearie. It looks like half. Back up.
Hey, what is this?
A 6-gun. Now back up or fall down.
Oh, come on now.
Into that alley and be fast about it.
Well, what are you trying to do?
Thanks.
Now, how about telling me what this is all about?
I don't have time right now.
Well, make time. You owe me a favor.
Sure.
Sam.
What kept you?
My friend Sam here.
Any trouble?
Not a bit.
Here. He can keep Ed company. Well, let's get a leg on. I want to get a couple hours sleep. I'm going to surprise someone at an early breakfast. You tie him up. I'll get that gold.
Right, Mr. Temple.
part of the day for me. Seem to get more done.
I like my breakfast in bed, and not before noon.
You look better for it, Miss Obregon. Getting up early seems to agree with your complexion. You know, the best thing in the world for muscle tone is to get up and then have someone pour a bucket of cold water all over you. Closes the pores.
I would die.
Make a new woman out of you, Miss Obregon.
I have my own ideas about that. Ruiz, will we be much longer in Cimarron City?
Well, I can tell you about that. We've about concluded our discussions. I saw General Matthews last night. He should be coming into town this morning. He likes your approach to our whole operation.
My approach? He should. My approach, as you call it, is his.
Well, then we will be able to leave soon?
Well, if not by tomorrow, the next day.
I will have to hurry.
Hurry to do what, my dear?
Ruiz, you must not ask questions of a woman who is planning a surprise for her fiancé. If you knew, it would not be a surprise.
Cantinero. Más café, por favor.
Morning, Miss Obregon. Mr. Tom, I hate to bother you while you're at the feed bag, but something just happened to me, and I thought maybe you might be able to help me.
What is it, Buttinger?
Well, sir, I was just taking a walk a few minutes ago out on the end of town. Out by the edge of the woods at the end of town. When this feller, Ed, I believe his name, come riding out of the woods with another feller that I didn't know. Anyhow, they tore it off to the south, and this feller, Ed, lost his saddlebags. I yelled at him a couple of times, don't reckon he hurt me. And I knew that he was a good friend of yours, so I just brung him in here to you. I'm right sorry.
Get away from me.
If you'll just give me them clothes, I'll be happy to wash them myself.
Just shut up and get out of here.
You don't have to be so all-fired mean about it. It's just an accident.
What is this?
The gold from my carriage.
What?
I've been betrayed.
Hey, that's real gold, ain't it?
Well, there must be some mistake.
There's no mistake about it. This is the gold I brought from Mexico City. And here it is in one of your man's saddlebag.
Ed, that's his name. Yes, sir, Ed.
I assure you we're not trying to double-cross you. I don't know anything about this, but I'm sure there must be some explanation.
If there is an explanation, I would like to hear it.
Yeah, right here's his initials on the saddlebag. You see, E.D., Ed.
Get the devil out of here, Buttinger.
Oh, you don't have to get so...
Get out of here before I shoot you where you stand.
Take the man and go down to the carriage. Find out what happened.
Sí, patrón.
Save your money for a rainy day. Them was right pretty words you got, ma'am.
This'll make 2 favors Lane Temple owes me.
Then you'll do it?
Sure. Why not? Even if I don't know what's happening.
Well, Mr. Temple explained everything to you. He said to tell you that.
I'll look forward to it.
Now, remember, not till I give you the signal.
I'll remember.
Lane?
Close the door. Up here in the hayloft. Climb up the ladder.
Well, that was quick.
Quick. I've been here for days, and this is the first time you asked to see me. I don't think that is so quick.
Well, I've been kind of...
What is it you wanted to see me about?
I forget.
I don't think I can get up by myself. Ooh, you're so strong.
Oh, I do this every day. How would you like to save a lot of people from being killed?
I don't care what you say. The gold is gone. Who took it?
We didn't. We could have any time in the last week. We outnumber you 4-1, just counting the men in town. Use your head, man.
Now, where is the gold?
2 men on horseback didn't take it. If there was 500,000 there.
Are you accusing me of lying?
If there was 500,000 in gold there, it had to weigh at least a half a long ton. That's 1,000 pounds. 2 horses couldn't carry half a ton. That gold's got to be somewhere in the city.
All I know, 2 of my men are dead and the gold is gone. And there was 500,000 of gold. Where are your 2 men?
We'll find them, don't worry. Excuse me, sir. A young lady asked me to give you this.
What is it?
She said it was urgent.
Who said?
A young lady. Senor Gutierrez, we're going to get the answer to this before the day is over. Understand that?
What is that you're reading?
Communique from my telegrapher. Doesn't concern you. Answer this at once.
Yes.
That's the way it is, Elena.
So it was all just a trick to get me up here. And now you ask me to betray my father as well as my country.
Weren't you giving me calf eyes to pack sand up Gutierrez's nose? You've got some mighty funny standards.
And you are not really interested in me. You are no better than Ruiz.
Here he comes, Miss Temple.
Somebody else here. Why did you ask me up here? Just what are you doing?
We're waiting for more company.
Oh, yes. Well, I am leaving.
I can't let you do that. You see, I need your help. The lives of all my friends in this town and the whole state of Texas are hanging right on my neck. So if I had to weigh all of this against doing something I've never done before, I might just have to break a rule and do it. I've never hit a lady. I said I've never hit a lady. But then you're no lady.
Lena?
All taken care of down here, Mr. Temple. He'll be out for an hour.
Bring him up here, then go back to the saloon.
Right.
I want you men to search every house in Cimarron City. If anybody gives you any trouble, shoot them. I want that gold found.
Honey, don't fret so. It'll give you a tummy ache. Why don't you sit down with me? I've got a great ear for trouble.
Oh, get away from me.
Dearie, it's no attitude to take. I know I'm not the same as your little girlfriend, but I got a lot of love in my heart.
Surely you must be joking. You don't think that I traffic with your kind?
You ain't got cause to insult me, or with your little girlfriend and that Tom fellow at the livery stable this very minute.
You're lying.
Sure I am, honey. Dearie, you've got a problem.
Hold up!
Men back here on the double. Follow them.
Here he comes, Mr. Temple. He ain't alone.
battle was over. There was no victor, only the vanquished. Tiny and I arrested quite a few of the renegades. The rest just left town before we could get around to them. And Elena, she went back to Mexico.